control do you aim to give local governments?
Commissioner Daly, we'll start with you. Please stay on the right.
Well, first of all, thanks, Captain. I appreciate being part of this panel. Bob McClure, it's great to see you. One thing about Bob, he was my high school basketball coach as well, so it's good to see you again, Coach. The question deals with local government, and obviously as a local government official, county commissioner, this is near and dear to our heart. Here in the state of Florida, we have what's called home rule authority that's set up by the Constitution. And the purpose of that is to acknowledge and recognize that all local governments are different. You have 67 counties and you have 413 municipalities across the state of Florida. Each one has different characteristics, different variables that make their community unique. Therefore, we believe that municipalities and counties, being closest to the people, the government closest to the people, it's important that we maintain that authority. And we have a good working relationship with the legislature. We don't always agree on everything, but you will never always agree on everything. That's the way how the process works, and the process works very well. As Catherine mentioned, I had the opportunity to work for a member of parliament. I've had the experience of working in other governments, and I can tell you that our government is the best, by far. But I think it's very important to maintain authority on the local level, because your local government is closest to the people, and it gives the opportunity for the citizens to really participate in what's important for them.
Thank you, Catherine. John Daly was also my basketball teammate. No, seriously, he's a little bit older than I am. It's great to be here. It's great to be here in the chamber. Young man in 103, you got the best seat in the house. So enjoy that seat. That's my seat. So any stuff that's in the drawer, leave it there for me so when I come back. But seriously, it's great to be here. It's great to be here with such a great group of young men. Just real quick, I just want to add that so many of you right now, you see each other probably for the first time. Some of you have come back several times. I see my friend Ramon Alexander, who has my job now that I had when I was an aide to the mayor of the city of Tallahassee. But many of you are probably going to end up sitting in these very chambers 10, 15 years from now, if not sooner. To the question Captain posed, for me, coming from city government, having the opportunity to work for the mayor, to be right at the epicenter of a lot of different issues that impacted the city of Tallahassee, I too will say that we want to try and give as much authority and control to local government. Tip O'Neill, the famous great Speaker of the House, said all politics is local, and I agree with that. And because even though I'm a state representative and I stay here in Tallahassee, when someone's lights go out and the trash needs to be picked up with a mosquito or out of balance, you need mosquito control, they're not going to call the Speaker of the House. They're not going to call the state representative. They're going to call their county commissioner, their city commissioner, the mayor, whoever, you know. And they're definitely not going to call the Chief Justice unless they're going to court and they want to get some resolution there. But so definitely all politics is truly local. But at the same time, from a state standpoint, and being a state representative, we also look at how can we make the budget, and we all know that we have tough times within this budget that we have right now. How do we make the dollars that we're given to appropriate for our citizens throughout the state of Florida, how can we make that kind of uniform across the board? How can we find some areas within state government that ultimately will impact local government? How can we make that uniform? How can we give some guidance, if you will, to government, to growth management, so you don't have Miami growing out of whack or growing out of, through growth management initiatives growing out of somewhat skewed? Or how do we keep Tallahassee from, kind of being this, what many folks have called this kind of sleepy town that is now starting to grow? How can we give them some guidance, if you will, for all of them to grow at their own pace, but at the same time that they don't grow too much out of whack on one end or on the other? So that's where I think that state government can be the best ally for local government, is to help give some guidance and then also be able to give those resources that we have the fortunate opportunity to allocate to our cities and counties throughout the state of Florida.
you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I've never been up here before. The view is good. The question relates to considerations of the court as relates to political policy. Is that correct? And how it affects local government? Well, from a judicial standpoint, and I had the privilege of being a judge for 34 years, 11 of those on the Supreme Court of Florida, the courts do not consider political policy in making decisions, or, as the speaker might say, the court shouldn't consider political policy in making decisions. We're governed by the rule of law, and we're not governed by the will of the majority. How do you determine the will of the majority? Many people say it's by polling, many people say it's by election, but nonetheless, we've had the opportunity to look at the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of Florida, the legislation that is passed by the legislature of Florida, and all of those we can give to great deference as a judge and as a court. We give great deference to those. There are many times when we have looked at a law that has been passed by the legislature, and one personally did not agree with it. But we, and under our oath as judges, are supposed to uphold the legislation unless it violates the Constitution. There are other times, and I don't know, I'm sure not under the Speaker's reign, but there are times when the legislature has passed laws, and in the course of all the committees, it has gotten screwed up to the point where we really didn't think that they passed a law that meant what they wanted it to mean. And we have said that in an opinion. But for us as the judiciary, for us as the courts, we do not make decisions based upon political policy. Hopefully, those of us in the court system will make our decision based upon the rule of law as relates to the Constitution and the laws enacted by the legislature. Thank you.
Well, good morning. I haven't been up here in about 3 years when I finished being Speaker of the House. And I was telling the Chief Justice there's a great view from up here. And I can see all kinds of mischievous things that used to go on. I can see little groups, members would cluster together for various reasons, maybe to amend the bill that was being debated or whatever. But anyway, the view is good. And all of you clearly have an interest in politics. And before I answer the question, I want to give you a 45-second history on my political experience. When I was 11th grade, I ran for class president and I lost. Actually, it was 10th grade. 11th grade, I ran for student body president and I lost. I came to Boise State and ran for governor and I lost. In 1992, I ran for the Florida Senate. I lost. 1994, I ran to be chairman of the Tourist Development Council. I lost. In 1998, I ran for the Florida House and I won. Woo! Sometimes you have to lose to learn how to win. And then I ran for Speaker of the House, and there were 7 of us in the race. And I was in the last place until the end, and I won the Speaker's race. So be determined. Don't give up. You're going to lose. You're going to lose in business. You're going to have some losses in politics. And the real successful ones I've noticed have lost before they really, really win. So you've all heard the story about Abraham Lincoln. I don't have to repeat that. Probably lost more races than he won, but he won at the end. To answer the question about local, I will certainly agree that local politics is much closer to the people. You have many citizens that will attend a county commission meeting. You have fewer citizens that will attend a legislative hearing, and even fewer who go to Washington to view Congress. And at every level, government gets worse, in my opinion. You'll love to hear that, Commission. The further away you get from home, in my opinion, the worse government gets. However, we do, especially in Florida, have to have certain issues that have to be decided statewide. Environmental issues. We have rivers and streams that run through 25 counties. We have to have an overall general policy. Education. We can't have 67 different school districts with